Welcome, everybody. This is the RXFL Week 1 recap. We're going to get you all squared away on things you might have seen or missed in Week 1 of the RXFL. Get you all set up for Week 2, looking some stats and all that. The game is usually glitched, so I'm not sure the score is actually 37-37. We're going to look at some news, look at some top stories, then we'll look at the scores, the standings, some stats. So let's see what we had. We got Monarchs, Bulldogs coming up. A lot of people talking. I'm looking. I don't want previews. I want to see things that happen in week 1. They're just previewing week 2. Here we go. Okay, so we got finally some big news here. Peyton Manning apparently threw a bunch of touchdown passes with the. I guess you can see this week in the corner of the screen there. So Peyton Manning threw some touchdown passes with the London Bulldogs. So nicely done there. And you see Charles Davis talking about it as well. Lynn Swan, he is with the Firebirds. Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco Demons knocking off Tom Brady and the Atlanta Dirty Birds. So they're looking good right there. I debated the Demons name if we would retire that or, kind of play around, but we might wait till the next season coming out. We got the Aviators, Joe Montana throwing for 381 yards. Gale Sayers having a big day. Jim Brown as well. Gale Sayers, you see the news right there. Redwoods, who have a new head coach, coming up short against the Aviators. Carson Wentz got sacked 4 times with the Wizards. Of course, we renamed the New York Slashers to their previous name in our older league, the New York SK Money. The stream's ended, my friend. You missed it. I hate to say it. The man was sleeping. The New York Shamrocks renamed. No, it's done. Stream's over. Stream is over. It's a work day. I don't have enough Patreon support to go full time yet. So we gotta get ready for work. Yes, New York Shamrocks, now known as their previous name, the New York Slashers. So they'll be rocking that name. You did. You're a hard-working man, my friend. You passed out. I couldn't believe it, what the work and schedule you did. But you can get the recap. You can get the week 1 recap here. WX said you were sleeping. He knew the schedule. He knew what was going on right there. So get the recap, the week 1 recap here that you got. New York Slashers, they're back in the mix. Good business. New York Nightmare previously, and then now the New England Nightmare. Joe Montana had a big game, as you're seeing there. So, good numbers. There's an upset. How about the Firebirds defeating the Portland Lumberjacks? That is a huge upset. Portland going 15-1 last season, and the Firebirds having another terrible year. So, let's look at the scores now. Let's jump in, and we're going to look at the scores from week 1 in the RXFL. Man, what an upset that was. Firebirds defeating the Lumberjacks. Firebirds for 6 years have been the worst team in this league, and they beat a 15-1 team in week 1. So we got the Houston Voyagers. Should we go box score? Let's go box score by box score. The Houston Voyagers defeating the Pittsburgh Sting. Boomer Esiason. There was controversy last season. Boomer Esiason, Troy Aikman. They ended up, I think they traded Aikman away. I forget what team he's on, but Boomer, look at this. 4 touchdowns, 306 yards. Even the hitman Bret Hart played a little bit. Sid Luckman had a 3-interception day. A nice blowout win there for the Voyagers. A high-scoring battle between the New England Nightmare and the Austin Armadillos. Austin will win it 43-33. Michael Vick, last season, he was the league MVP, coming up with a nice 4-touchdown performance. Bobby Lane didn't play too badly either, 352 through the air. We won't go through every single, and it's going to kick you back to the beginning, huh? At least for week 1. I don't know if I'll do this for every week here. But the London Bulldogs tight contest, they were last season's disappointment. They were expected to win the whole thing last season. Peyton Manning, that's what they're talking about. A nice 4-touchdown performance. Deshaun Watson, 314 for the Oklahoma City Bandits. We're going back with the Bandits name for Oklahoma City. London Monarchs. We had a lot of really close games getting the win over the Salt Lake City Elks. So we'll just look at the stats after the fact because it's going to take too long to go through every single game. London defeating Salt Lake City. Might call them the Fury. Might go back to their old name, but I don't know. There's no Fury in the new Madden, but Salt Lake City Elks. That's a tight contest for a Salt Lake City team that wasn't too good last season, so a bit of improvement for them there. We have the North Florida Cheetahs, the team that Tim Tebow owns, getting the win over the Tennessee Oilers by 6. Look at all these tight games we had in week 1 outside of this Houston and Pittsburgh game. Memphis, they were a disappointing team last season, getting a win over a deep playoff team. 7 points for the Tampa Bay Mutiny, 21 for the Memphis Egyptians. Here's a low-scoring game. The Philadelphia Benjamins, 14-7 over the Dallas Desperados. Brooklyn beats the league champions from 2 years ago when they were known as the Eclipse of Atlantic City, 31-14 over the Chicago Cougars. Dan Marino had 4 successful years with the Ann Arbor Annihilators, had a pretty good year with the New York Nightmare. He has not been able to get it going with these Chicago Cougars just yet. There's your big upset of the week. The Las Vegas Firebirds, who have been the laughingstock of the league from Omaha to Las Vegas. They have always had one of the worst records in the league. They knock off Portland. Portland was 15-1 last season. Portland is 0-1. Are they going to win 15 in a row? Don't know, but Aaron Rodgers had a big game, and Russell Wilson did not. He only threw for 185, so there's your big upset in the books there. The LA Kiss with Terry Bradshaw getting the win, defeating the San Antonio Dragons. You're going to have to ignore the badge. Just pretend that's like a shield, like a dragon shield or something, kind of like the old MLL Dragon team, right? So you have the New York Slashers. They win 20-10 over the Orlando Wizards. The defending champions of the National Conference, the St. Louis Rhinos, they lose by 3 to the San Diego Aftershock. Aftershock missing the playoffs last season. So how about that? A lot of interesting week 1 scores. The Columbus Aviators picking up a win over the Redwoods. Of course, you guys just watched this game between the Chicago Wolverines and the Mexico City Golden Eagles. The San Francisco Demons with the win over Tom Brady and the Atlanta Dirty Birds. And then your Patreon exclusive, the Dublin Tigers dropping one to the Huskies. So every game was a close game, with the exception of the opening contest. So I think we're in store for a crazy season here in the RXFL. So let's look at some stats. We'll take a look at the standings, even though they're not really going to show much in week 1. And we're going to get you all set for week number 2. So let's see who was the big standout all the way around. We'll look at players of the week and all that. Let's go for yards. Let's sort it by yards right here. Joe Montana was the most, 381, the 3 touchdowns. You got Bobby Lane right behind him. Tom Brady throwing for 345 and 2 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes, 321, 3 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson, 314, number of 300-yard passers. There's Lamar Jackson, your defending league champion Lamar Jackson. Michael Vick, Warren Moon with a really nice day. Aaron Rodgers, Bart Starr. You guys will look at the names here. Let's see any other names that kind of jump out at you. Kurt Warner, he got benched last season. Looks like he's back in the starting role. He was out of there for the Snake, not Jake Plummer, but the other Snake. He's back in the starting role there. God, I'm blanking on. I can picture the guy in my head. It was the old Raiders quarterback. That here, this has got a. I don't know if they won't show his stats here, will they? Because he didn't throw anything. I might have to look at the roster. Kenny Stabler, there he is. Right? He was the Snake, wasn't he? Kenny Stabler. He played a majority of last season after Kurt Warner was benched. Warner gets back in and, 251. Terry Bradshaw, Peyton Manning. Let's see if there's any names that kind of jump out that maybe played that didn't really play last season. It's going to be a lot of these same names. Anyone that kind of had a not good game. Johnny Unitas, he's been a bit of a disappointment. He had such a good year with the Portland Ironmen in the Revolution League, Big signing of Tim Tebow here, the new owner of the North Florida Cheetahs after he retired from the Gainesville Clash. And the team still primarily residing in Gainesville, but they kind of represent all of North Florida, Tallahassee, Gainesville, Jacksonville. Andrew Luck had a rough performance, but enough to get the win. Steve Young, he nearly got benched last season for Ben Roethlisberger. He is starting this season off slow. There's Sammy Ball. That was us. 5 interceptions. Carson Wentz, 12 of 19. Norm Van Brocklin, just 8 of 11. What happened in that game? That was a really low-scoring game. Joe Namath. So it looks like there may have been an injury or a benching. So Van Brocklin goes out, and Joe Namath comes in. Doesn't do much better. Just 4 of 10 for Broadway Joe. Of course, Bret Hart played a little bit. Len Dawson got in. Phil Simms. Look at the gray hair. Phil Simms, come on. You got Sonny Jurgensen, who played a little bit as well in week 1. Rushing. Who was your rushing leader? It was Lenny Moore. Lenny Moore and Lamar Jackson were your rushing leaders. You got Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Gale Sayers, Ollie Matson, Earl Campbell, Jim Brown, LaDainian Tomlinson, Chuck Foreman. You can kind of look at the other names here, any big names that might jump out at you as a week 1 performance. Your receiving wise, James Lofton, 173, 2 touchdowns. How about Lionel Taylor, 161 and 3 touchdowns? Get out of here with that. Stephon Diggs and John Mackey, they tore it up there. Lynn Swan talked about his big day. Tyler Boyd, T.O., Sterling Sharp. We got SK Money Sterling in the chat right now. Defense, who was the big guy on defense? For sacks, it was Derek Brooks with 4 sacks. Bill Moss with 3 of them. My goodness. Interceptions, 2 for Lem Barney. One of them was pick 6. 2 for Deion Sanders and 2 for Deion Jones. So there was your stats for week 1 in the RXFL. Standings, like we said, nothing that's going to kind of really jump out at you. I don't think you could even really make any kind of big discernible claim. We start ranking the teams, once we get to a certain point. Actually, you know what? Maybe we just start ranking them right now. We didn't rank them in week 1. Maybe that's how many weeks did we go last season before we ranked them? I don't know, 2 or 3. Let's just start ranking them next week. We'll rank them all. So here you go. So the committee puts their rankings out. We have a committee. They put Memphis at number 1. The Memphis Egyptians as your number 1 team. Monarchs at 2, Wolverines. I'm kind of surprised they have Memphis at number 1 so high up. So there you have it. You don't have the Huskies up there. All right, let's see what we're going to do for week number 2 in the RXFL. We know guaranteed you're going to get a Patreon exclusive. Let's see what it's going to be. It is going to be the Philadelphia Benjamins and the San Antonio Dragons. That should be a very, very good game. That'll be your Patreon exclusive game. So be on the lookout for that. Philadelphia, the Benjamins, and the San Antonio Dragons. Not the Marshalls. They're back to being the Dragons. That's a shield. That's not a badge. Let's see. What's your game of the week game going to be? Let's go through them all and see. What do you guys think is the best game? I mean, you got the Dirty Birds and the number 1 team right there. You can have your Lamar Jackson's first game on YouTube going up against New York Slashers, Beats, and Golden Eagles. Wizards, Aviators, Chicago, and Chicago. Armadillos and Oilers, Dublin, San Francisco, San Diego, Portland, and North Florida. That one might be the one. Did they have the playoff game last season? I'd have to look and see. I think they might have. I have to look. Oh, I don't have my... I do. Let's see. Oh, YouTube, they reset it on me. Come on. I'm looking real quick. Looking in the archives. Because wasn't that one of the really exciting playoff games? No, they did not. Because the Kiss got beat in the first round. But I think they had some exciting games last season. That could be one. That could be one of the games. Elks, Redwoods. Could see the Firebirds. Are they for real? Let's see. The Desperados and the Mutiny. Monarchs, oh, that might be the one. It's another Monday night game, not to just keep doing primetime games. Can you see? Oh, I don't want to do that. I was saying, can you? I wish they would show you the records because I don't remember Monarchs, Bulldogs. Are they both undefeated? Got to go back to the standings. They're both in the West. No, the East. No, the North. They are both undefeated. And then what are the Kiss and the Lancers? They are winless. No, the Kiss are 1-0. I think we do the Battle of London. So I think that's what we're going to do. Next week, RXFL, we are going to do the Battle of London, undefeated London Bulldogs, London Monarchs. That is going to be the game of the week, and we're going to see, is London Bulldogs for real? London Monarchs ended up being the team of London, and they had quite a run, but they ended up getting upset, defeated in the postseason by the eventual champions, the Toronto Huskies. So we'll see. Are the Bulldogs for real, or is it Monarchs time? So that is your game of the week, but your Patreon exclusive, the Philadelphia Benjamins. Is it going to be Broadway Joe, Philadelphia Joe, or is it going to be Norm Van Brocklin in there again, going up against the San Antonio Dragons? Patreon exclusive. Be on the lookout. That is probably going to come up. Oh, God. That is probably going to come up this coming weekend. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's already long on Patreon. It's been on Patreon for months at this point. If you're watching us on Twitch, or if you're watching this replay on Patreon, stay tuned because this weekend, be on the lookout. This weekend will most likely be when that game comes out. So keep an eye out. Be on the lookout. You can sign up. You can be a Patreon supporter, any level that you like. Get that bonus content and get this stream early and ad-free before anybody else. So week 1, the RXFL is underway, and we got some exciting stuff going on. London versus London, and Philadelphia and San Antonio coming up week 2. Thanks for tuning in, guys.